Hello, my name is Andrew Nyamayaro. I am a solicitor at Tanlo Solicitors, and I am here again to present our weekly legal updates, and I'm touching on immigration. The topic that I have today is on children that have entered into the United Kingdom, or children that can enter into the United Kingdom. These are dependents normally on a parent or an adult. But these children can also enter the UK in their own right, or they can also enter the United Kingdom as unaccompanied minors. So many times children have entered the United Kingdom as unaccompanied minors, particularly when it comes to protection and humanitarian claims. So today I'm just going to comment on children and the routes that are available to them. So for someone to qualify as a child dependent or as a child applicant when it comes to immigration in the United Kingdom, there are some certain elements that needs to be fulfilled. And these elements apply to all routes of entry into the United Kingdom. If you've got any questions, if you want to understand anything, or you want to chat with me, the number on the screen is the WhatsApp number that you can send me any questions, or you can put your questions in the chat. As we'll be proceeding, you can also put your questions in the chat. So the things that needs to be satisfied if you are a child applicant are that, number one, age. Child applicants must be under the age of 18 for them to qualify as child applicants or to come here as dependents. So you must be under the age of 18. Once you go over the age of 18, you cannot normally make a new application as a child. You might make an application or an appeal after the age of 18 if you entered the United Kingdom as a child, or if your application was submitted when you were still a child and it was refused, and you're now appealing against that refusal. And then if the appeal or a challenge is successful, then you can enter the United Kingdom as, well, regarded as a child, although you'll be over the age of 18. We have handled such cases whereby someone started applying when they were under 18. We did all the necessary challenges to the Home Office, through the courts, and they were granted and came when they were over 18. If someone is already in the United Kingdom and they are here because they were a child applicant or a child dependent, then any further extension that they do, as long as they meet the requirements, will still be regarded as a child or a dependent. So number one, we look at the age of the child. If the child is under the age of 18, then on the face of it, then they can apply for that visa as a child. If they're over 18 and there have been challenges going on, or if they still meet the requirements of a child, then still they can make applications or extensions as a child. The other thing that the Home Office looks at is that, is the child still a dependent or they are living an independent life? So they might still be under the age of 18, but they are no longer dependent on their parents. For example, they may be now married. Unfortunately, in other communities, children tend to get married earlier than other communities, or when they are still under the age of 18, or they are now maybe not financially dependent on the parents, they've got their own resources and so forth. So in that case, it may be that they are no longer dependent and they're now living an independent life. Where it can be shown or proved that they are now living an independent life, then they can no longer qualify to be child applicants or child dependents. I always say this point to people that are in the UK and have come up with their children, that you need to have the evidence to show that the child, even if they are over the age of 18, they are still dependent on you. They are not living an independent life. Sometimes, where, for example, the child is now going to college, or maybe they are now living with their partner or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is, or they are now working, no longer financially dependent on the family, maybe actually supporting the family with money, then they may not necessarily qualify as a dependent or a child. But again, each case depends on its factors, because if someone is going to university or if someone is going to college, that does not necessarily mean that they are independent. In fact, they most likely they are dependent on their parents, because their parents are giving them money for upkeep in the university, looking after them, the rentals and so forth. So that's the second point that the Home Office considers when it comes to child applicants. Then the other point, all these points that I'm talking about, you can look for them under the immigration rules. If you go on Appendix Children, then you can see these requirements that I'm talking about in the immigration rules, Appendix Children. You can check all these things that I'm talking about. Then the care requirements, are they still under your care? Are they still under the care of the parents? If they're still under the care of the parents, and by parents, I'm using this term broadly in terms of immigration. It will also include step parents, adoptive parents, the person who is in the local parentis position in terms of that child. So children can still have to show that they are still receiving care from their parents, so that they can satisfy the requirements of the immigration rules. The next thing that the Home Office looks at is the relationship. What is the relationship? So if someone is going to be sponsored as a child, then they have to have a relationship with whoever is going to say that they are their children. So it could be the biological parent, it could be the step parents, it could be the adoptive parents, it could be someone who is regarded as their parent in terms of law. So there has to be a relationship that exists between the child and the parent. So the four things that the Home Office will normally look at if they are dealing with children is: number one, age; number two, is there independent life from the child? Are there any care requirements? And lastly, the relationship. All these four factors apply to any route that you are going to apply your child for. It could be a route and a child of a British citizen, a settled person, a skilled worker, under the requirements for the armed forces, etc. A child can also enter into the United Kingdom as unaccompanied minors. And if they come alone, obviously the Home Office will have to do certain checks and tests as well. So some of the things I'll comment on as we proceed, and they can be applicable to certain routes that are there. If you've got any questions that you have, today we are talking about children, the children routes that are there. You can send me the questions on WhatsApp, or you can send me on the chat there, wherever you are on the various pages that we are streaming on. I will be checking those pages to see if there is any questions that are there as we are proceeding. Yes. So now let's look at the various routes that are there. So someone can come as a child on a dependent, as on a parent. So if the parent is coming to the United Kingdom on whether a skilled worker visa, as a British citizen or as a settled person, they are allowed to bring their children to the United Kingdom. So when children are coming, normally we have to show that there's the relationship, as we have said, and there is also the care element and the dependence element. So if they are a child of a British person, we normally the court or the Home Office would look at whether that person is truly dependent in layman's language. We are talking of 297 of the immigration rules or odd immigration rules, where the parent is here as a settled person. Both parents are in the United Kingdom. If both parents are not in the United Kingdom, and this again affects most rules, whereby if one parent is not in the United Kingdom, then we need to show that the other parent who is in the United Kingdom has got what is called sole responsibility. And a lot of people confuse sole responsibility and sole custody. Sole responsibility meaning that you are the person that has got you've got all the powers to make the decisions in the life of that child. So you decide all the major decisions in their lives, whether it's the school they go to, the teacher that they the church they go to, etc., the sports that they do, the doctor they see, and so forth. You've got the sole responsibility for that particular child. So if they're coming as a child or a dependent of a British person or a settled, the requirements are the same. And if they are coming as a dependent of a skilled worker, then they'll be given a visa in line with the visa that the skilled worker has. It's either 3 years, 2 years, whatever is remaining. Then they will be given again under those circumstances. So they can come as a dependent of a parent who is on a visa, or as a child of a person who doesn't have any conditions on them as a British person, or someone who is also a settled person. They can also join their parents under humanitarian protection. Humanitarian protection is different from asylum. They can also join their parents who have been given a refugee status. And of late, the law was changed that if someone is in the United Kingdom and they want to bring their dependents from abroad, even if they've got asylum, now they have to meet the financial requirement. They have to be earning the £29,000. They have to be able to provide accommodation, and they have to be to meet the requirements that a British person or a settled person have to meet. So those are the requirements that are there. And these requirements were not previously there. They could come without asking for the financial requirement, and the government would provide for accommodation and not ask for the finances and so forth. So if you are someone who is on protection and you want to bring your children to the United Kingdom, you need to look at it and see that you are now working. I think this change of my head happened late last year, maybe around October time when it was changed. So you need to make sure that you are now working even if you are a refugee. Some come as child students. If you are coming as a child student, your parents can afford to send you to a private school in the United Kingdom. Then that's under the points-based system. So the child can come and go to whatever private school that they are going to go to, or whatever course that they are doing as a child student. Some will come to train for football or whatever it is. So there are requirements that needs to be done, things to meet the minimum threshold of the funds required, the school having been offered a place in the school. And if you are a parent that is going to stay with the child, you can also get a visa on that basis, that you are a parent of a child student that is coming to the United Kingdom. So that again needs to be met. So there are various ways in which children can come to the United Kingdom. And then there is the one on private life. So private life applies mainly for children that are already in the United Kingdom. Of course, it also applies to those outside the United Kingdom because private life is part of human rights, and human rights is Article 8. And if someone is applying for their children to come to the United Kingdom, they have to consider Article 8 as well, which is a right to private and family life. But private life really is when someone, the child, is in the United Kingdom, they've spent 5 or 7 years in the United Kingdom, they can now qualify for a visa, even if they were illegal, and or they've spent half of their life in the United Kingdom, they're over the age of 24 or 25. They can also be considered for leave to remain, especially if they were illegal in the country, then they would have established their own private life. And if they've got a parent or a person that is also in the United Kingdom, but who is also illegal in the country, then they can also make an application as a parent or a guardian or a carer of that particular child. It used to be almost automatic that they would apply, but these days we have to put a lot of information and evidence to prove that they are the parents who are responsible for looking after this child. So you have got children that have spent, I would say, a minimum of 5 years, but normally it's 7 years. Then you have to consider making an application, particularly if you are illegally in the country. Consider the private life. If the child was born in the United Kingdom and they've accrued 10 years in the United Kingdom and they are not yet British, they can also apply to register as a British citizen at that age, provided that they meet the requirements, the good character requirements and suitability requirements. And also the other good thing is that fee waivers are also now available to most of these children applications. So if you're struggling to pay for the fees of your children, then they can be considered under fee waiver, and they can, if they meet the requirements, then they can make the application either for the limited leave to remain, for the settlement, or for naturalization. So these well, I would say the major routes that are available to children to come to the United Kingdom or to extend their visa in the United Kingdom. So I also mentioned on good character that also affects, especially when it comes to citizenship. If they've got a criminal conviction, or they've got a lot of things that hinges on their good character, the Home Office might refuse the application. So it's also important that the children maintain a good record within the United Kingdom or even outside before they come as well. So if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat or put them in my WhatsApp. I'm going to just take a moment to check in my WhatsApp to see if there is any questions. But if you've got any questions, please type them on there. Okay. Okay. Okay, I do not seem to have any questions, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you require any advice on family law, immigration, employment, business and corporate, wills, probate, and litigation, you can get in touch. Law solicitors can help you in all that regards. And also, please like our Facebook page, Law Solicitors, or on my profile, Andrew Nyamayaro, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have got more than 200 videos on YouTube, so you can learn a lot from us on YouTube if you want to subscribe there. Until next week, thank you.